Dr. Nicholas?
So yeah, I guess two things. One, it's when you look at what things like artificial intelligence are good at right now, they're good at domain-specific tasks, right? So fairly narrowly defined tasks for which we can either give a complete reductive algorithm about how that task should be accomplished, or about which we have some sufficiently good sense of the kinds of relevant data that we feed the, say, neural network such that it can learn to pattern recognize in quicker, more efficient ways, right? And those are the sorts of things for which narrow education that you get, that sort of vocational type, are, I mean, that's the lunch that AI is going to eat most immediately. So if the idea is, well, I just want to stay ahead of the crashing computer wave long enough to make some money, you can make a bet, well, hopefully I can make that app that makes me a bunch of money and then I can check out and sit on the beach and earn 20%. Or, it's a diamond. Yeah. Or, you know, I need to be prepared that I'm going to probably change careers several times. Certainly, the last 100 years that is the case. People change careers a lot. I think the number kind of heuristically was 7 for a while. Who knows if that's going to remain stable. But the idea is, the less narrow your education is, then the better off materially you're likely to be if you're a remotely risk-averse bettor, right? Otherwise, you can go all in, working on whatever you're working on right now, and just think, hopefully, that's going to do me okay for the next few years. So I think kind of materially, there's these reasons to want to do something like a liberal arts education. But I'm actually a person who just thinks, listen, there are some intrinsic goods in life, and some of those intrinsic goods are discovered through getting a liberal arts education. And this is part of why human beings gravitate towards them. They're intrinsically good things. They're not good because it'll get you a bigger house. They're not good because you can lord it over your friend. They're good because they're intrinsically good. I don't know if it's icing, it's not, you know, it is what it is. So either you pursue those things or you don't. You know, nobody's going to force you to, but right now it seems like that's the kind of thing that separates us from some of the machines we're building. The machines we're building are going to be ever efficient, more productive things, and the tools you build change you, but we don't want to just turn into these machines. I think part of why these sort of broader educations are important for people is because it allows them to appreciate these goods.
So I guess we could talk about the benefits of a classical education all day.
All day, yeah.
But unfortunately,
I don't think that's what we want to get.
Another diehard question.
Okay, we're going to shift over to Q&A from the audience. So I'd like anyone to feel welcome to pose a question to the panel or individual speaker. Yes.
Have you seen that AI that's able to actually review problems and contracts more accurately and faster than humans can?
Yes.
Like, what do you think of that?
The legal field is one of the fields that's getting disrupted. And the reason is the vast majority of what lawyers do is, it isn't you're in a court, you're prosecuting, you're arguing before. No, that's a very small part of legal work.
It's stuff like discovery.
Exactly. Discovery, reviewing contracts, and natural language parsing is much quicker, much more effective, much better at reading contracts than humans. Discovery, for those who don't know, this is when you're suing someone or being sued, you turn over millions of pages of documents nowadays, and you pay boatloads of lawyers $300 an hour to read every page of those documents. Well, guess what humans are not good at? Carefully reading tens of thousands of pages a day, looking for a specific term and circling it to hand it to a partner. We make mistakes. Computers can do that in a matter of minutes. And yeah, they make mistakes. They miss some things, they misidentify some things, but their error rate, even with those problems, substantially lower than humans. So legal documents, discovery, AI, machine learning, natural language parsing, it's great for the field, it's bad for the lawyers.
We talk about AI and this whole discussion was about AI and potential unemployment. How do you feel it correlates with something like cryptocurrency, where if you change the economy, does the job really matter?
I guess it depends on what do you mean by change the economy?
I mean, I'm just saying, it's like, I mean, the way, like, I mean, like, okay, so cryptocurrency is still in its, I mean, it's still below its infancy, I guess. I mean, there's so much what we don't understand or know about it. I'm just trying to understand, like, I mean, what is the basis of a job? If you look at it as our source of income, it's what helps us survive. So if that itself is changed, like, I mean, how is cryptocurrency mined? It's again computers. I mean, if that is something which is taken over by AI, like, how do you think that would affect the idea of like what a job is?
So, at the risk of saying something before the labor economist says it, I mean,
This is a question about monetary economics.
I mean, this was one of the things I said in sort of my opening remarks, is a lot of this isn't issues about AI, it's issues about, say, capitalism.
Right.
And capitalism's conception of what it is to work, what the value of work is. I mean, most of the time we're talking about, can human beings still be productive without AI? Whereas if the reason to be a human being is to bring forth a thing to then trade with other people for something of value, right? I mean, maybe that is what it is to be a human being, but maybe not. So you read a lot of articles about how AI can produce new art objects and how that's great. And we heard that at the beginning and saw a bunch of pictures, as if this was going to be the end of human beings producing art. When I read this, I just don't understand. People who produce art don't care that there are other people that produce art. I mean, the fact that there are more people producing art wouldn't stop you, if you're an artist, from producing art. If anything, it might encourage you to produce more. So the notion of what a job is going to be relevant to the broader economic and social structures in which human action and labor is embedded. And if cryptocurrency changes that because it's a non-statist form of secure trade, great. I mean, remains to be seen if it's anything more than a speculative investment right now, but if AI changes that, great. You know, it's either going to save us all or kill us all, who knows? It's a little too early to tell, but it does seem like it could be a thing that'll radically change the economy.
Yeah, well, just a couple of things. So first of all, so as an economist, I know that that we have the reputation for being sort of cold-hearted. But of course, there are lots of things that people value and take value in their life. There's intrinsic value in things, in love, in art, in music, in reading. But of course, you know, I think one of the fundamental qualities of being a human, and this idea goes back to Adam Smith in The Wealth of Nations, is this desire to embetter yourselves, your lot in life, your desire to have a better life for yourself, is kind of an amazing thing, and it's something that holds across cultures, across generations. There's seeming, and I don't think it's a question of capitalism or non-capitalism. That's a human quality, is wanting to improve your own life, and so the role of cryptocurrency. I don't have a lot to say about this because I'm not a monetary economist, so I will duck the question, except to say that I don't really see that it would matter all that much. I mean, currency is fundamentally just it's a medium of exchange.
Store of value.
Store of value. If you change the medium of exchange to store of value, is that going to affect the relationship between AI and employment? I don't think so, but maybe it raises other issues about privacy or about data, like these kind of ethical questions, but I don't know about it.
I just say it's a great example of where interdisciplinary work is really valuable. There are, especially with early cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin in particular, there are fundamental misconceptions about what a currency is embedded in the design of the system. On the other hand, the concept of proof of work as a measure of value is a really cool thing that economists probably can learn a lot from. So it's a really interesting interdisciplinary set of issues that bring the two together, again, benefits both.
Sorry, I don't remember your name, the labor economist.
I go by the labor economist.
You touched on how AI could potentially affect the redistribution of wealth, and I was wondering if you could maybe expand on that, or if other people have something to add to that.
Yeah, maybe I'll expand on it a little bit. There's some growing research in this area, but it's still sort of an active area of research. And I think that so as I was sort of touching on earlier, is that I think new technologies change the tasks that people do in their job. If we think of a job as, say, a bundle of tasks, of tasks, well, technologies can do some of those tasks, and humans can do the other ones. And so so these new technologies will substitute for some of the tasks that humans used to do that are no longer doing, and it will complement other types of tasks. Well, if the types of tasks that are complementary with are the types of tasks that very high skilled labor are doing, such as computer programmers or people who have graduate levels of education, higher wage workers, those new technologies, those are complementary with those types of work activities, then that can expand the distribution of wealth. There's some great work by an economist named David Otter at MIT, and he's sort of shown that that a lot of the change in employment has been this. So one of the major features of these changes in employment has been this sort of hollowing out of sort of middle skilled types of occupations. So we think of like secretarial work or clerical work, bookkeeping, these types of work which computers are sort of substituting for. But then at the extreme upper tail, haven't had that happen yet. Maybe that will start to happen. And at the lower tail, that hasn't happened as much. So you think of sort of things like janitorial work or food service preparation or health service workers, health service aides, those types of human that require face-to-face contact and sort of interpersonal relationships has not yet been replaced by AI. So that's sort of the research on new technologies that have already been developed. It's sort of an open question as to what kind of the next set of new technologies is going to do in the future, and so that I'm less certain about, but I think that there's some evidence that new technologies have contributed to this, to the growing dispersion in wealth and the concentration of wealth at the upper tail.
So we've been talking somewhat tonight about art and AI's ability to create art and so on. One thing that I've kind of been having a discussion with my group of friends is whether or not AI's ability to produce art and produce music actually diminishes the value of human art, considering that in many times it can do it better. Even those bad images you showed could be considered a mix of surrealism with Renaissance art. Could AI eventually end up replacing human artists altogether, or what do you guys think about that?
One of the really cool things about art is, and this kind of goes back to the question of cryptocurrency and value. What is value? Why do we value art? Is it merely because the song makes happy things happen in my ears, or pretty painting? Or is it about the value of creating and knowing the artist? I know most of the paintings that I have that I value most are I know who the artist was, or was a gift that someone had given to me, so I don't care about the quality of the art, or it was about some memory that I shared with somebody, or there's something about the art, not the quality of the art, or what it's representing or portraying. There might be, in the field of art studies, a lot of really cool things that come from AI. I have a wonderful observation, Renaissance and Surrealism kind of combined together. That's a really cool observation. And if you're if you study art, there could be a lot to learn from that, and it might change how you think about the art. So if anything, if you're a true art scholar, it might further increase your appreciation of the art by showing you things that you hadn't previously recognized.